Hey, this is Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling for Platinum versus AEW Dark episode 41. It wasn't as good as the burp I had before I started recording, unfortunately. On July 7th, 2020. I'm going to add a new feature to these Platinum versus AEW Dark reports, and that is every match, because a lot of them are squash matches, as we like to call them, that doesn't make the show any less viable, and it doesn't make the matches any less important. In fact, because most of my listening audience are wrestling people, I've decided to throw in a thing, which is what's the lesson we can learn from each match. I think that will make things much more useful and provide a nice backdrop to these AEW Dark reports. I am the only person, to my knowledge, who does videos and audio specifically about AEW Dark. So I wanted to make it as great an experience for everybody, including myself. I like to constantly try new things and reinvent. So we open with the AEW Dark opening, brief as it is. It's very effective. And then we got Excalibur and Taz, who are a very good announce team. Taz is sporting his FTW. Established in 1987 because that's when he was born, making me feel old. So now I know that Taz is 15 years younger than I am. It's a great looking shirt, which apparently you can get at AEW, and they plug it more than once throughout the show, which definitely gets a chuckle and a guffaw out of me. And as people continue to buy me shirts, if somebody wants to send me a Taz shirt, I would greatly appreciate it, and I would love to wear it. Okay, match number one, Brian Pillman Jr. Wow, this is the big deal, huh? That he showed up in AEW and he wrestled this match on Dark against Shawn Spears with Tully. Brian Pillman gives him a bit of a match, but this is about Shawn Spears going over. Shawn Spears looks crisp, looks great. That running DVD, I think they called a C4, whatever they called it, it looks great. It's a great finisher. Tully giving him the thing, then he slips in the glove, and then he hits him with the loaded punch. All looks good. What's the lesson from this match? Brian Pillman Jr., in spite of his role here, which was to put over Shawn Spears, was enthusiastic and engaging, and he has that it factor. For people that don't have that yet, you got to fake it till you make it. You have to bring that level of enthusiasm. You have to show your ass. This is pro wrestling. And Brian Pillman Jr. was willing to do it, and it came across. It was a good look for him. And it's a great way to start off AEW Dark. I looked at the comments that people were having live as they were watching the show, and a lot of them said, this should have been the last match, which just goes to show wrestling fans don't know shit. I thought this card was laid out very appropriately because the guys that we care about the most right now are Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon with Leva Bates. And so I think continually having them on this quest to win their first match is a nice little segue, a nice little story for AEW Dark. Number two match, which I'm excited about, Big Swole against Roche Chanel. I think I said that right. If I didn't, I'm the asshole. I like that they put a placard of the matches before each match. A small thing? I don't think so. I think not only do you get to know the people much easier and you identify them, the people who are taking the time to put those pictures together, by the way, great job, man. I think it's much easier to identify. It's much easier to get to know people. I would see no problem doing this on every show, if I'm being honest. Every wrestling show. God forbid we get to know these people's names. God forbid we don't treat everybody like they've watched the show 500 times and know everybody like the back of their hand. Before the matches, the bikini women being shown looks, it's hilarious. It's ridiculous. But, you know, I'm all about some equality. I always had the dream in PCW because women are always used as sort of like these ornaments, right? Like a ring card girls and blah, blah, blah. Of just having a bunch of dudes also like lying around. Like anytime we had women, you would also have guys just sort of there as decoration. I thought it would be funny. Anyway, side. Solid work from both. Really good match. Chanel works that gimmick to the T. The shoulder tackle by Big Swole looked great. Like, just every little thing they did looked really crisp and good until the end, honestly. I love the story of their trading shots and Swole wins. A way to put over Swole as someone to not be messed with. Small thing. Britt Baker's watching. Swole wins with the really ugly pump kick. It's the one thing that did not look good, unfortunately. I like the Dirty Dancing reverse elbowy stuff. I thought that looked good, but the pump kick that followed did not look good, especially since we see the pump kick a lot in AEW. Again, I would caution people to stay away from finishers that are moves that other people do frequently unless you do the best version of them. What's the lesson from this match? Make sure your stuff looks great. Everything they did was sold great, looked great. Big props to both of those women. We got an interview. Alex Marvez popping up somewhere, interviewing Allie and Brandy Rhodes. They bring up old stuff, like how Allie brought up Brandy bringing in Awesome Kong as a surprise and then cheating to beat her and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was really great. Dustin showing up and chewing out Allie. It's interesting how they're handling this. I hope that what they're trying to do is try to give some nuance to it and that the baby faces aren't stupid. I like that part of it. But they really do come across as kind of bullying on Allie because she is by herself on these things. But again, Allie and Brandy decide when all is said and done, yeah, they want to keep teaming up. Okay. A nice break in the pace on AEW Dark. Third match, Kazarian against Luther. Kazarian eventually gets the win with the victory roll. And he gets win number 20. Again, I love that Taz and Excalibur are keeping track of everybody's wins and losses. They talk about how Scorpio Sky got his 20th win last week, and now Kazarian has gotten his. The lesson from this match, win by other means is okay. I like the Kazarian one with a victory roll. It's wonderful. And maybe they'll incorporate that into that what is now, I guess, a 6-man tag between SCU and the Dark Order with Colt Cabana. By the way, they slipped that in a little subtle way. They made that from a tag match to a 6-person thing, which I like because I like Scorpio Sky. I like Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. Why not see all three of them wrestle? And that we already have a tag match stuff going on that show, so a 6-man, get a little different psychology in there. I'm all about it. Match number 4. Oh boy, this is going to be bodies piled up. Joe Alonzo, Brady Pierce, Tony Donati, and Fabu Andre against the Lucha Brothers, Butcher and Blade. I love the Lucha Brothers. They do Lucha stuff, of course, but they do the most interesting stuff, I think, of everybody, including the Young Bucks. That wheelbarrow into the tuck, which launched the other one forward with a headbutt, was amazing. The run along the top rope where you kick them in the face, I love. And then that finish where the Butcher and Blade and Lucha Brothers just piled up bodies and destroyed everybody. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. The lesson here, dude, it's for here, the enhancement guys were there to put over an idea, and they did it successfully, and they did their job well. What was that idea? That the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade are humming on all cylinders and going into their match against the Young Bucks and FTR, and in fact, made them look much more credible as a result, that they could actually win that match, which by all means should be a foregone conclusion match. But now they've cast some of the doubt because some of the stuff that the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and Blade did was just so cool. Hats off to the enhancement guys. Really did a good job. All right. Number 5, the 5th match. Will Hobbs against Orange Cassidy. Will Hobbs, a big old guy from California. Orange Cassidy doing the Orange Cassidy thing. Will Hobbs goes to hit him. Orange Cassidy rolls out of the way, hits him with the Superman punch, and pins him. It's not only a shock, it's the right, looking at it retroactively, it's the right move for Orange Cassidy to seem like a credible threat against Chris Jericho, who was their first champion and is their biggest star, arguably still. Will Hobbs, basically, he used the biggest body on the card, and they used him to get Orange Cassidy's Superman punch over. And you know what? It's great. Kudos to Will Hobbs. I'm sure they'll get you again, and they'll bring you in again. when you are there, here's the lesson. You are there to put all of your chips on the table so someone else can win them. So then they can use those chips in a bigger high stakes game later. Kudos to Will Hobbs. Really putting over the fact that he was going to crush Orange Cassidy, really emphasizing his own size just to give it away to a Superman punch. Some people would say that's terrible, but that's your job, and he did it well. Number 6, Michael Nakazawa against Sean Dean. I'm going to just do the lesson first and then talk about highlights of the match. The lesson here is you got to play the game, but you got to remain earnest while you're playing it. So the game is Michael Nakazawa does disgusting stuff, right? The Turkish oil wrestling thing, which the referee Aubrey just played along with, snatched that bottle out of his hand, threw it out. Then he takes his underwear and puts it on his hand, and it's disgusting. Aubrey, the referee playing the game with them, of reacting with the fist to the mouth of, oh my God, when he is taking off his underwear to use it. Again, fun gameplay. They totally put over Michael Nakazawa's thing. But Sean Dean remained earnest the whole time. The joke is not funny unless Sean Dean is not wink wink going along with it, but instead earnestly trying to win. So great job, Sean Dean. You got to play the game, but you got to be earnest while you're playing it, even if it's a funny game, especially if it's a funny game. Number 7 match. Scorpio Sky against Serpentico. I'm a big fan of Serpentico. I'm just going to lay it right out there. This was a 50-50 match for the most part. And, man, I love that Scorpio Sky does stuff like get people to duck and then just kick them in the face immediately. I see him do this all the time in his matches, which is to upend things that you're used to seeing in a rhythm in a wrestling ring, but finding a way to sort of like circumvent your expectation and do things in a way that makes him look very smart. Really, really great. Serpentico does not win. Scorpio Sky is still using that TKO, which I have said in the past I'm not a big fan of. I'll say this, boy, it looked great here, and Serpentico took it perfectly. If you can do the TKO like that against everybody, I'm all about it. That's fine, because your TKO is better than everybody else's, at least from what I saw here. What's the lesson? When you get a chance for a 50-50 match, guys who are being brought in for these matches where you're not winning, make the most of it, and Serpentico certainly did. If you put this match in the middle of Dynamite and had somebody who didn't know anything about AEW and who was supposed to be the guy and who's not, and they watched this match, they would think Serpentico was a regular part of the roster. That's how good he did in this 50-50 match. Great job, Serpentico. Huge fan again, I will own to that bias. And then our main event, de facto main event, Avalon. Peter Avalon with Leva Bates and Brandon Cutler searching for their first win against 2 guys in the Dark Order. The lesson here is the most important part, so I'll put it out there. You can gain a great following by losing well and having that be a well-booked story, and that's what we have here. Some kind of snafu happened with Evil Uno, I'm guessing, but that hellacious backbreaker the other guy in the Dark Order gave more than made up for it. But Avalon and Cutler look really sharp here. They're getting more and more offense every time. They're being more and more clever every match. Avalon from the jump saying, go ahead and pin me, and then rolls him up to try to steal a win. I thought was really cute and great. And Leva Bates' limited interference really worked here. Again, I could see the comments and people were saying, God, I want to see Leva wrestle. I want to see it too, but I want to see it happen as a result of Avalon and Cutler getting their first win. I think that would be a much better story of Leva gaining the ire of another female wrestler by her helping them win, perhaps, or whatever the reason is. But always great to see Leva. Big fan. Used to book her all the time. Avalon and Cutler, of course, they're a darling story here on AEW Dark. Who knows? Maybe they'll get a shot on a Dynamite and pick up their first win there as a sort of reward for being great if they have to sub for somebody or whatever. I think that's interesting, right? Just a little bug to put in somebody's ear at AEW. Then we put over Fyter Fest. Yeah, we got the 8-person tag. Got Lance Archer against Janela. We got the tag team championship, Omega and Page against Private Party, which is the kind of the substitute match for Moxley not being there. And then we got Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, which is now the bona fide main event. And it's all looking good. Thank you for joining me for this, and I hope you got something out of those little lessons per match. Feel free to comment and that kind of thing. I always love that. This has been Stephen Platinum, your friend in wrestling, for Platinum versus AEW Dark.